This week's Parsha, Vayeishev, is so fascinating, so compelling that it even made its way to Broadway, modern day. And it has in it, of course, the story in the beginning of the brothers in their jealousy and hatred throwing Joseph in the pit. And then after that, when Yaakov was mourning and wouldn't be consoled, we're told that Yehuda went down from his brothers and he left. And we're given the story of Tamar who marries um, at that time Yehuda had three sons, and she marries the first son, Er, and he dies because he was seen as wicked in the eyes of God. And then, as is custom to do, that Yehuda gave the second son to Tamar that he should perpetuate the name of his brother by marrying Tamar and having children. But Onan the second son, did not want to do this. And he specifically did not impregnate her and spilled his seed so that he shouldn't perpetuate the name of his brother. And God saw that as evil and knocked him off too. Two sons dead. Now, Yehuda had a third son, Shelah, and he was very concerned that if he gave Shelah to Tamar as a husband, that he would die as well. He used this delaying tactic, and he told Tamar, "Look, Shelah's still young. Go stay with your father until he gets older." And we're told that many years passed, and he did no such thing. And then Yehuda's wife passed away, and he leaves, and he's on his way, and it's told to Tamar that Yehuda is coming on the way, and she dressed up like a prostitute, covers her face because she's so desperate to have children and to keep the family line going. And she saw that Yehuda had no intention in the end of the day of giving Shelah to her as a husband. And so she tricked Yehuda, we should be from the same line, to sleep with her so that she can have children from the family line. And she right after this incident, we're told she puts on her mourner's clothes, her widow's clothes again, and she goes back home. That was it for her. She had one intent in mind. And after she couldn't cover it up anymore, after 3 months, it was told to Yehuda that she was impregnated, and that was seen as harlotry because she wasn't married. And they're like, what to do? And he said, burn her. And then she sends over the signs that he had given her and when he promised to pay her. And she said, how will I know? So he gave her these three things: the staff, the signet ring, and the cloak. And she sends it back to him and she says, whoever these are, that is the person that had impregnated her. And then right away, he realizes his mistake. And he says, Satkami Meni, and he obviously they don't burn her at the stake, and he never sleeps with her again, and that's it. She's seen as righteous, and he realizes he had made a terrible error. But there's something very fascinating. I want to read the pasuk because it hints to us, I think, a very important lesson. Like there's sometimes little details that we take for granted, but have a huge message of how we can avoid getting into really horrible situations. And I think that comes from here when we hear about this story that I just told you at the end, when she says, and I'm going to read the Hebrew and then I'll explain to you. It's important to see the words. She says to Yehuda, "V'tomar haker na limi hachotemet hapetilim v'amateh ha'ela." V'ikar Yehuda v'yomer, tzadka mimeni, ki al kain lo natatiha l'shela beno v'lo yasaf od l'data. So what this means in English is that Yehuda recognized and said she is right. It is for me inasmuch I did not give her Shelah my son, and he was not intimate with her anymore. But the reason why I wanted to read the Hebrew is because these words, hakerna, that she said, recognize. Whose are these? That's the same words that the was used when they sent the garment, the Tonet Pasim, Yosef's uh, coat, back to the father and they said, Hakerna, whose is this? They wanted to see if he recognized, is it your son's coat or not? So right away we go back to that story, Hakerna, because that's the last time it was used in the story of Yosef, when they sent the coat back for the father to understand that Yosef was dead. But then it says another, and people have made that connection right away, that there was a culpability, that Yehuda automatically understood culpability. But why Yehuda? Yehuda wasn't the first one, the one to say to throw him in. He was actually the one who did a delaying tactic to save him. They said, don't kill him, throw him in the pit. Reuven said that, and he said, okay, let's save him, because still in the pit's a dangerous situation. Let's take him out. Let's sell him down to the Ishmaelim, and will save his life. So why is he getting the blame here? Why is that Hakerna going to Yehuda specifically? And I think the hint that it says, and it says, "V'lo yasaf od l'data." He did not continue. Yasaf Yosef. He did not continue any longer. And I think the important lesson for us when we're connecting the story of Yehuda back to the story of when they threw Yosef in the pit is what was Yehuda's actions? What was his culpability? Because we know that right now this is a pivotal moment in his life. The reason why we are called Yehudim after him, the reason why he deserved the Malchus, is because he is somebody who can learn from his bad, take culpability, turn his life around. So what was it that made this even more powerful than just that story alone? Was the fact when he said to the brothers to sell him, Yosef, and not to kill him, is that he knew this was a delaying tactic in order to save Yosef's life. But he knew that it wasn't the right thing to do. But he was just trying to push off the worst scenario. And the same thing happened in the case with Tamar. He told Tamar, wait in your father's house till Shelah grows up. But we're told in the pasuk specifically that he said it because he was afraid that Shelah was going to die also, that he had no intention of giving Shelah to Tamar. Now, this is something that we have to learn in our life. When we're in a very difficult situation and we know that we have no intention to do something, we shouldn't give off the impression. We shouldn't, as a delaying tactic, make somebody else think that we have one purpose that's not good in mind, that is good in mind, when we have something that's not good in mind. He had no intention to give Shelah to Tamar, and he had no intention really to harm Yosef and just to make a profit out of it. But both times he gave the wrong impression to his brothers, as if that was the right thing to do. And he was a leader. He was a leader type person. And he shouldn't have given an impression to his brothers that this was okay. He should have made it clear that there was nothing about any of this that was okay, and not just delay the tactic, express himself and say what was the right thing. And finally, when it came to this, and he says, Sadkami many, more righteous than me, she understood. It was a whole flash to him that right now I can't do this anymore. I have to speak up. When I know something is wrong, I have to speak up. I have to do the right thing right away. And we see that indeed he did learn that, because in the next stories on, when later on we'll see the story in the parsha when Yosef had Binyamin and he wasn't going to give Binyamin back, and Yehuda feared for the life of his father. He went, he confronted him, he said everything, he laid out. There's no more pasukim no more narration in any story other than that, when he's telling Yosef every single detail of why he has to let Binyamin go back. He's fully expressing himself. He lays it all out on the table. No more delaying tactic, no more deceiving, no more trying to manipulate. He laid out everything exactly as it was. And that is the strength in doing what is right. Always when you have a conviction and it's strong, don't think that the other people can't handle it, that they're lesser, and that you have to work with them and with their mentality of evil to do the right thing. You lay it out. You lay it out as it is, what is right, what is wrong, with that conviction that you have at the time. And you see how powerful it was that he managed. Yosef wasn't ready to reveal himself yet. It wasn't in his plan to reveal himself yet to the brothers when he had that conversation eventually with Yehuda, but he couldn't help himself. The conviction and the emotion and the powerful speech that Yehuda gave, because it came from the moment where he really needed to say it, really can influence a person to change their whole entire plan, as it did with Yosef. He could have possibly done with his brothers. And I think that's the lesson to learn. Always speak out as you know what is right at the moment, despite what you think of the other people, and never give them the attention that you're going along with whatever evil plan they have, because that can just really bite you in the at the end of the day. With that, I wish you all a Shabbat Shalom.